I saw the dev discussions earlier today. I saw people having like mixed opinions about the whole custom load, like the whole loadouts thingies, because apparently it's not gonna be what most people really want. Like apparently it's gonna be a little different or a little more, I don't know, like not quite what people expected or were hoping for. I think I'm gonna have to see how it really works in game, or how they explain it in the stream to really understand it. I saw someone comment this on some video or something, and it does kind of make sense. I think the reason they are like gradually bringing out these like minor updates, like the auto lock, auto unlock, this loadout thingy that's not quite there, but it's a start. It's kind of a halfway point. I wouldn't be surprised if they're releasing these just to kind of show that they are actually working on these features. Because you have so many people that even despite them, despite Hoyo constantly saying that they're working on thing X, Y, people are just fucking impatient and want them to hurry the fuck up. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just releasing these kind of like these updates in stages, just to show like, hey, fucking, we are doing something, so have a bit more fucking patience. People just really love to hammer home the fact that allegedly Genshin just does not give a fuck about what players want, and it's so annoying. Like on the one hand, I understand, especially if you have like a game like HSR, like this freshly out, and you know, where there's quality of life updates being made that people want in Genshin and blah blah blah. But again, I don't think people realize that bringing out new updates and quality of life updates, especially in HSR, is just easier because HSR is a much more niche game. If you have complaints in HSR, more often than not, they're gonna be about the gameplay in some way, shape, or form. You complain about some gameplay mode, something combat, something along those lines, right? Like there's less options. HSR has combat, it has story, and that's about it. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, that's just how it is. Meanwhile, Genshin has story, Genshin has exploration, Genshin has combat, Genshin has the teapot, Genshin has TCG. There's just a lot. Genshin is kind of an all-rounder. It's a little bit of everything. And also, I don't want to put that out there without really knowing how it really is. I would assume, since Genshin is like the more popular game, that there's also gonna be more surveys, like more people filling out surveys. And if you have more people filling out surveys and more people wanting different things, it's also gonna be, I'd imagine it would be a bit harder to actually figure out what you want to work on first. Like if you have, I don't know, 30% want this, 30% want this, 20% want this, and like the remaining 20% want, I don't know, something else, or like multiple smaller things, it's gonna be a little tougher to decide what you really want to tackle first. You know? That plus the fact it's just harder to add stuff in Genshin in general than it is in HSR, because there are different games at their core. Genshin has been around for longer. And I've heard multiple people who have experience in coding and programming and stuff say that it's much easier to add something to something newer and fresher, like a blank slate, than it would be to something older. Genshin's been around for over 3 years now, while HSR has only been around for less than 1 year. Genshin is open world, HSR is not. Whenever you say something like this, it's assumed as a knock on HSR in trying to defend Genshin. Yeah, and like, I'm not trying to defend the game. Not really, because there are things in Genshin that I would like to see. There are things that are in Genshin that I feel like they could do better. That frustrate me. That HSR has, for example, the fact that when you do Spiral Abyss, that you have to do all floors in one, that you have to unlock them one by one. That frustrates me. And that frustrates other players too. And with that problem kind of having been solved in HSR, I get that that's frustrating. Being frustrated doesn't mean that you can just make stupid fucking claims. Like, they don't care because I say so. Fucking, yeah, like, I play both. I enjoy both. There are things that I'm dissatisfied with in Genshin and things that I'm dissatisfied with in Star Rail. And nowadays, I see so many people I see that are like, the game doesn't improve because people don't complain enough about Genshin, or because you can't say anything negative about Genshin. My brother in Christ, everywhere I go, I see people shitting on the game. Everywhere. For me personally, it's rarer to see someone just compliment the game without some like passive aggressiveness or like some hint of sarcasm. I feel like anytime I say something positive about the game, I'm gonna be called a fucking dick rider or a white knight. Like, all I see is people complaining. What the fuck are you on about? I'm sure there are those people. I'm sure there are people that are just like very sensitive about that. I'm sure they exist. But don't pretend it's the fucking majority when it is not. It is not. I see someone compliment it or say they love it, and yeah, immediately. Sometimes I'll see those videos of people watching the demos or trailers or, you know, starting the game, anything along those lines, or just asking how the game is. And every time, there'll immediately be people complaining about how quote-unquote bad the game is, or that it never changes, or there's nothing to do. That sounds like a fucking you problem if you don't know how to pace yourself. If you're one of those players that like maxes everything in one day, or that only plays the game for a certain aspect of it, of course there's gonna be less for you to do. Of course there is. But don't blame that on the game. Your preferences have nothing to do with the game being good or bad, or having content or not. I play the game for the story, exploration, and because I want to build characters. That's what I play the game for. I do want to get into the teapot stuff, like decorating my teapot and stuff, but that's like, I'm not really into that. I also don't play much of TCG. If I loved like TCG and the teapot and everything as much as I did like story and all that stuff, I would have a shit ton to do. If I only played this game for, say, exploration, and I do just that, then yeah, I'm probably gonna run out of stuff to do faster. But that doesn't mean there's nothing. It just means there's nothing for you. Well, and now it is after midnight. I've been talking for a good 20 minutes or so. Anyway.